We are into the champion selection. But before we get this underway, I'm going to get our co-caster on the line for the day. Let's see. Ooh, I got to mute my laptop in the background. I can hear my own voice. Hey, what's up, Sotia?
Good morning from the other side of the pond, or good afternoon, or good evening, whichever one it is there.
How are you today? And more importantly, how do I say your nickname?
So Terror works. I am doing great, and how about yourself?
I am fantastic. So for everybody that doesn't know, my name is obviously Quickshot. I've managed to get in contact with an incredibly high-ranked US player. I believe your ELO is 2,100, Sotia?
It is indeed.
Sweet. Well, yeah, what's up? Congratulations. Would you like to introduce yourself to the viewers and the audience?
Yeah, I would love to. I am Soter. I cast frequently for GG Chronicle. We've held tournaments in the US, GG Classic, for instance, and we do a lot of other commentating just for whatever tournament that wants to pick us up. So certainly anyone who is interested in getting in touch with us, ggchronicle.com and ggc.leaguecraft.com, that's our websites, and we have streams going frequently as well.
Sweet. So, welcome to the party. We're already into Champion Select. We have Fnatic on the left-hand side. They're coming up against, I believe it's LLeague on the right-hand side. Ari, Rise, Irelia, Morgana, Urgot Band. Nothing really out of the ordinary. And Shen. How does that compare to the US bans? What are you used to on the US side?
Those are not completely unusual bans for the US side either. Urgot would generally be a targeted ban if you know the other team has been practicing them lately. For instance, TSM has been practicing a little bit with them. But besides that, not a usual ban. Everyone else is pretty standard, except perhaps for Irelia. She's kind of fallen out of favor as a top laner, so she generally doesn't get banned either.
Well, we've seen on Tuesday, we were watching Fnatic take on SK Gaming, and XPK played a phenomenal Twisted Fate. Twisted Fate is available in the pool, and it's going to be interesting to see whether or not he's actually going to lock that in, or see who he decides to play for the AP mid. So Ter, how much of the EU scene do you watch or do you keep track of?
To be honest, I don't watch an incredible amount of it. I do like keeping track of it. Fnatic is actually one of my favorite teams. I was tuned in for that particular game, or at least parts of it. I remember, was it you and Panky casting? You guys are like, oh, Fnatic is going to have to do something really cheeky here, really cheeky. And then, of course, XPK kind of backdoored a bunch of inhibitors and turned the game around for them. So that was very impressive, and I liked watching that.
Sweet. So, yep, that was it. That was Tuesday's games. Unfortunately, Fnatic got stomped the very next game by Absolute Legends. But we'll have to see if they can pick up the pace this time round. I think SK are in the bottom half of the bracket. Fnatic are in the top half. So they're not going to be bumping heads or seeing one another for at least a few rounds. So we do see Nocturne and Misfortune being locked in. I like that. I like Misfortune. Those impure shots, very, very effective, especially when you got a sustain lane. On the bottom lane, Phylox has played quite a lot of Soraka. Having those impure shots, reducing the healing, it obviously makes Soraka significantly less effective. But it does leave the potential for Taric. Taric Graves, very, very aggressive bottom lane.
Right. Obviously, MF has a lot of presence early game in the lane. The issue is, of course, no escape skill as you get later on. Now, they did take away Nocturne. I always feel like if I'm going to play an MF or similar champion without an escape skill, I don't want to see a Nocturne because, of course, he can automatically get to you with Darkness. So that is kind of a good combination in my mind. And we don't see the Taric pick up. We do see Janna picked up. Janna, my favorite support character ever, but doesn't really have the same burst that Taric would provide in that early laning phase.
It's quite great. The Monsoon ability as well as the Howling Gale, they're just such powerful counter initiators. And of course, when you've got a Nocturne in the game, if he's able to dive forward onto you with Paranoia, at the very least you've got the Eye of the Storm, you've got the Howling Gale, you can shield up some of the damage and sort of keep those melee champions away from your carries just a little bit. Very disruptive.
My only concern with Janna against Nocturne is I believe there's still the bug where his W, I think it's not Shroud of Darkness, his W shield ability can actually block two of her spells. So a lot of times I would be playing Janna and I would send out a Howling Gale and a Monsoon simultaneously and he wouldn't get knocked back by either, which is really frustrating. I don't believe that's been fixed, but I could be wrong.
Now, Soter, what is your primary role? What's your primary position? You've got your way up to 2,100 elo, but how did you get there?
Generally, support and jungle, I play a little bit of AD carry, but mainly just Corki. Corki's basically the only AD carry I play, but those three roles are my favorite positions. Janna is my all-around favorite champion.
Oh, right. I have not played very many supports at all. My younger brother likes to do that. So what I do like from LLeague, though, we do have Nunu and Lulu locked in. So that's going to be an AP Lulu in the mid. Is she quite popular in the US servers?
She is and she is not. Wait a second. Have you guys actually had this week's patch yet?
Yes, it was live from this morning. So we are on the latest update, the latest patch. We've got the new map. Also for today's tournament as well, Darius is auto-banned. He is completely removed. Nobody's allowed to pick him or select him in any way. Apparently he's OP. I haven't had a chance to swing that axe just yet.
Neither have I. I always kind of avoid champions for the first day out, because if you go ahead and buy them, then you're in a rush with everyone else trying to pick them in normal games and ranked games. I feel like you shouldn't play the new champions. Anyway, AP Lulu is pretty popular in the US solo queues, and I guess who was it? Voyboy has been playing him top lane, as well as other people have picked him up mid. I just don't really like her because she doesn't scale incredibly well late game, but I think she kind of gives credence to the belief that you don't need a ton of burst from your mid lane, and it really helps to have that extra utility for late game to help out your AD carry. So I think that is kind of the idea of Lulu in my mind.
Lulu's also incredibly powerful when paired with a good tanky DPS champion like a Jax, or in this case it would be a Wukong, for example. We watched, I'm just trying to remember who it was. Well, I can't remember the player, but on Tuesday's qualifiers there was an AP Lulu that went middle and just completely tore people apart. It could have even been Hawked on RV actually. Was paired up with the Jax, and that helped pick shield. The damage that goes out from Glitter Lance, just so powerful. And if you can keep somebody like Wukong alive, allow him to life steal some HP back and continue dealing damage, it almost guarantees a victory for your team. If your tanky DPS is alive and dealing damage, while your opponent's DPS character is not.
Right, and Wukong I feel is going to be a great champion to be able to wild growth, because he's going to jump in there, cyclone, knock everyone up, and then going to be wild growth and knock everyone up again. So that's going to be incredibly frustrating, I imagine, especially for Graves on the other side.
Now, I don't think I've seen a cyclone wild growth combo. Does that increase the width of the cyclone ability? So will that knock more people up?
I don't know. I would not suspect that it would increase the range of it. Generally, because all of the spinning spells, when affected by her other skills, for instance, her cupcake skill, they're not really changed or not canceled. So I would be very surprised if it actually changed the functioning of Cyclone. But I was saying, of course, Cyclone knocks someone up, and then they'll just be in his range and not being knocked up. So you could have perhaps a dual knock-up effect. I would love to see that, and I would hate to be on the other team when that happens.
I definitely think the animation is going to be particularly awesome. Combine that with the animation of Nunu's ultimate. And that's going to be great. I was reading on Reddit that apparently Nunu's ultimate is broken or bugged on this patch. Do you know anything about that?
No, I read the same Reddit post, but then I kind of tried to look into it and see what it was, and I did not find anything further. I don't think anything was mentioned in the patch notes. Someone was just like, "Oh, Nunu is completely broken," but I don't exactly know what the deal is.
Well, we'll have to see how that plays out. So we do have all of our teams locked in. It is going to be Galio versus Lulu in the mid. I think that's going to end up being a bit of a farm fest. Not going to be too exciting. And it's going to be up to XPK to use that teleport to try set up some ganks in the other lanes. Shushay in the top lane against Kirby. Jax against Wukong. Who's going to be able to take this lane in your experience?
I feel like Jax has the innate advantage, but Wukong is a little bit harder to gank. And it really just depends on who's going to put more effort into ganking top and hoping that it steamrolls. That's how it goes over on the US servers. I suspect it's kind of the same here. The meta is just camp top and give your top laner that snowballing effect. And now we have good gankers from both Nocturne and Nautilus there. The only concern is Nautilus on blue side is not going to be quite as effective at ganking as is Nocturne on purple side, just because Nocturne will have red buff closer to that lane.
Now, it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out. So we are into the last 45 seconds, guys. So I'm going to throw up a very quick commercial break. And when we be back, it will be Fnatic versus LLeague. So not everybody has ad blockers. So yeah, there's always 30 seconds of air to fill. Thanks for joining. Thanks for tuning in. Are you home from work or you stream? What's your daytime profession?
My daytime profession is streaming. Not that I actually make money from it, but I was an attorney in a previous life, and now so I'm trying to give the professional gaming a go. Have some things in the work, write articles for GG Chronicles. We're thinking about setting up a gaming house for one of the US teams. That's Legion. So we'll see how that goes. That's kind of my next business opportunity there. But right now, trying to turn this into a profession. Haven't had an incredible amount of success quite yet, but I have been having a lot of fun doing it, which I think is the most important thing.
Sweet. Well, we can definitely do some shameless bumping once we get through the games, throw up some Facebook links and some stories, try spread the word around. So 5,000 people sitting on stream. I want a prediction. Based on the champions that you see, spam that chat for me now. Who's going to win, Fnatic or LLeague? And I have to say, the Angler Jack skin is particularly cool. I love, at the beginning of every game, I love comparing the skins and deciding who's going to win based on whose skins are the best looking. That's what I use as my determining vote.
Yeah, so that's a universal strategy, and obviously, based on these picks and these skins, Purple Side is going to win here. Nunubot is a hard skin to compete with, and they are going 5 for 5, where Xpika, for whatever reason, no Galio skin, and no Cyanide, no skin on Nautilus. Yep.
Very, very disappointing. So I'm going to throw my overlays up really quickly, and I need to add Soter, Co-caster Soter. And I think I've spelled that right. I'll just have to double check. S-O-T-E-R-E.
That is correct. Yay. That is correct.
I have the ability to spell. So not too bad, not too bad. A lot of love for Fnatic. The question was answered on chat, and chat has answered with a resounding Fnatic fan.
I don't know, is Fnatic the fan favorite in EU? Because they're my favorite, just because they won the Season 1 championship and all that sort of stuff. And of course, Suchet is a sexy beast.
They're definitely very, very popular. And I think it comes down to Fnatic management. They've got very, very good sort of public relation abilities and whatnot. But over here, I think CLG EU, who have just renamed to CLG Optimus, they're probably one of the favorite ones as well. I also just realized my overlays are displaying the wrong names, so I need to fix that as well. It's Fnatic LLeague. And I've got them backwards. There we go. So now my overlays are all correct. But yes, Fnatic are very well loved. Suchet, who looks like Gragas as well, is particularly popular.
Yes, his Gragas play is legendary. XPK, kind of an interesting choice there. I believe he saw the enemy team come in, put down that ward, but he's not going to move from his vantage point there. Apparently not too afraid of being killed or ganked. But LLeague has that early advantage. I always like that ward just to keep track of the enemy jungler when they're going to do race. Does certainly give you an advantage.
So no early aggression, nobody being caught out just yet. Lanes are resetting. And I want to see whether or not this misfortune in the bottom lane from Timo2 is going to be able to put a lot of pressure onto Graves and Janna, because she's got that innate attack speed buff from Impure Shots, which already has a single point into it. Couple that with Blood Boil, and she's going to be hitting very, very hard.
And very, very fast.
Yeah, I'm looking at stats at the moment. 68 attack damage, as well as 6 and then 10% armor pen, and a 0.85 attack speed with Blood Boil on. So before Impure Shots, almost at 0.9 attacks per second. It's a very scary misfortune.
And that Blood Boil is going to be up almost the entire time. Actually, I don't think it has any downtime. Might have it at level 1 as you get more ranks into it. There is no downtime. Jungler's going to just be doing kind of the longer route, not gank. There is a little bit of harass bottom lane. But neither of these lanes have sustain, so it's really going to be on the players making sure they don't get poked out in the beginning.
I already see on the top lane, Shusha has taken quite a lot of damage from Kirby already. Kirby's put 1 point into that crushing blow, 1 point into decoy. And he's already got Shusha down to less than half health and using a potion. First blood does actually happen on the bottom lane though. So we're going to have to rewind that in just a second. Let's go back.
You intrigued me by that top lane matchup too, and I was about to be like, oh, she's just gonna heal that off with potions and then first blood. Yeah. So apparently that MF Nunu combination is taking the early lead there.
Yeah, that auto attack damage, the impure shots, and the slow from Nunu. Samutu just literally sat there continually attacking over and over and over. So I've thrown directed camera on, and we are now in fast forward mode watching it. Top lane is even pressure now. Shusha and Kirby bashing one another in the head, and it looks like Shusha is coming off, worse in the situation.
I think he will be okay. Nautilus, or Nocturne rather, going in for some jungle invade is a level down on that Nautilus. He's just going to have to run away, but XPK on his way,
Loads of damage going down. Nocturne flashes over the wall, does put his Duskbringer out. If Jax can land with a Leap Strike, that's going to be a kill for Shusha.
Oh
that's
man,
going to help him out.
Yeah, any troubles he was having in top lane suddenly just ended, because for the next couple of minutes he's going to have those double buffs, and that is going to be a real big pain for Wukong.
Well, that was a very, very big kill for Fnatic. They gave away first blood, but to be able to give a character like Jax double buff at level 4, if he can convert that into 1 or 2 kills, or even just pick up enough farm to farm his way into this game, a fed Jax is always more scary than a fed Wukong.
Yeah, I believe that is definitely the case. Yeah, and really, I don't know if he'll go in for the kills. Certainly the kills will help, but I mean, mainly if he just gets 10, 20 CS ahead, then those double buffs are definitely worth it, then essentially worth another kill or two.
Now, Kirby now all of a sudden is playing very, very passive, sitting on the back foot. He's being zoned a little bit, afraid of that Empower Leap Strike combo that Jax is able to put down. But on the bottom lane, Cyanide's moving forward. The Howling Gale lands to Tomoto, and the Dredge line just misses. One more auto attack might be enough, but he's not going to be able to get in range. And so lucky for Tomoto. That Dredge line was millimeters away from pulling him towards Nautilus.
Right, it was lucky, and of course, they used the flash earlier for that first blood, so I had to just run on out of there. Up top, though, we see a dive from Suche. But Kirby is going to come in back here. Oh my goodness, oh my goodness. I don't know that was worth it from Suche, just because he lost his double buffs, and, there was a potential that LLeague was going to get an assist from that. They did not, luckily for him. But, yeah, now he's going to go back to the lane without those double buffs. Maybe he feels like he just scales better with some items than does Wukong, but I don't know that that's necessarily true, at least for the laning phase.
Shusha is, let's say he's well known for playing aggressively. I'm gonna keep this as polite as I can, but he does tend to do those very, very aggressive dives. He gets caught out of position from time to time because he does like to play very, very aggressively. But take a look at the item build at the moment. Cyanide has picked up Boots of Mobility on Nautilus.
Yeah, I like that choice, but generally, well, I'm sure it's the same here. Generally, you go Philosopher's Stone and Heart of Gold. Is that right?
Yep, the GP5s, especially on Nautilus, who needs the mana regen at the early levels.
Right. So we generally see that, but we do see Boots of Mobility pretty frequently picked up by Nautilus. It just makes his ganks that much better. Mid lane, kind of interesting. Galio doing a really good job forcing the Lulu out of lane. Of course, has the teleport, which helps out laning a ton. But importantly, Lulu's really, really strong early. If she doesn't get a huge lead,
And now on the top lane, Paranoia dives all the way forward onto Shusha. Shusha just uses that leap strike, jumps to a friendly creep, and gets out of the gank pretty much unscathed. Does take a lot of damage from Kirby's crushing blow, though.
He does, and he has to be a little bit careful for when Kirby hits 6. Actually, I think he'll be okay, but he is getting a little bit low on life up there. But yeah, AP Lulu who can't really dominate her lane, I feel is not really worth the pick, because that is Lulu's really, really strong period of the game. Gets a little bit weaker as the game goes on because those AP ratios are really low. And of course, she only has 2 of them.
Yeah, it is true, it is true. Now the question is whether or not this Misfortune on the bottom lane is going to carry on pulling ahead. Small creep advantage right now. Does have a kill to her name as well. And if Lulu's able to keep Misfortune protected, the slow from Nunu, the shield that can go onto Misfortune, and then all the damage that can come out from Glitter Lance and that help picks keeping her alive, Misfortune may be able to put out greater sustained damage in a team fight, whereas Lamia is going to be relying on that burst from the buckshot and the collateral damage.
Yeah, certainly. I think, when I look at supports, it looks like Nautilus is going to come in again, but there's no harm going to come of that. When I look at supports, I kind of look, what can you do for the AD carry? Now, of course, Janna grants that 50 attack damage shield and is great with, team fight control. But Nunu's buffs, just with Blood Boil, are certainly stronger just for an offensive,
And of
reasoning.
course, it affects the entire team as well. Once we hit these big team fights, Nocturne and Wukong are going to benefit from Blood Boil, or could benefit from Blood Boil as well. So, depending on positioning, depending on how they want to create an engagement, if they want to open up with, Wukong going into a Cyclone, for example, they could pop the help picks with the movement speed buff and then the Blood Boil onto Wukong, get him up there, knocking a few people up really, really quickly, follow it up with a Paranoia dive. So there's a lot of options available from LLeague, and it's going to come down to coordination.
Yeah, certainly they have, I didn't even think about all of the movement speed bonuses they have. Of course, their melees have their own movement speed bonuses as well. So we're going to see some people moving incredibly fast. Down bottom, we saw Fnatic was trying to, put a lot of damage on that turret, which is a little bit unusual. We don't see that too much, people trying to take those, turrets before 10 minutes in. But I think the Fnatic just doesn't like that lane, or pretty excited to get that lane over with and, make it less contested.
Now, the mid lane, XPK is currently playing Galio. I'm just trying to think to myself there. Shusho jumps forward, does land a counterattack, followed up by that Righteous Gust, or Resolute Smite rather. Hits really, really hard at the moment. Arwill taking a lot of damage. The only things that can break XPK's Idol of Duran currently is the knock-up from Wukong, the Fear from Nocturne, and Polymorph, unless I'm mistaken.
Yeah, those are the only ones I can think of as well. So, yeah, that's certainly going to be an issue. Now, of course, if he catches, multiple people in that Idol of Duran, then they're going to be in a lot of trouble, And he's doing a great job so far. 108 farm to 67 of Lulu's.
I don't know if you watched or how much of the Dreamhack qualify on Tuesday. We do have Idol of Duran going in the middle. The depth charge knocks Arwill up, gets pulled back with the dredge line, a flash forward, a few more auto attacks going down. Paranoia dives in from Dolphy. He's going to get locked up for half a second from Nautilus. Nautilus has now turned his attention back to Aoi. She's put that shield on herself. Ignite has gone down. Now Cyanide does manage to pick up one, so at least it's a 1-for-1 trade. Make that a 1-for-2 trade. And a little bit aggressive after the dredge line had been used to carry on diving under the turret. When you consider Nautilus only had a regrowth pendant and boots, there was never going to be enough damage to get through that shield of Lulu's.
Yeah, no, certainly that was kind of a misplay there. And wow, Suchet does come down middle really, really quickly, which kind of, protects the dragon, because I thought that was going to be a free dragon there, but the fact that Kirby did not make his way down and Suchet did kind of made LLeague back off and not take that early dragon, which is generally the play you'd follow up with that double kill middle with.
Well, what I like seeing at the moment is Galio's currently sitting on the Chalice of Harmony. He's picked up a blasting one, so I'm going to get very excited if I can see an Athene's Unholy Grail. It'll be the first time I've seen it. But I want to make mention to Alexis's Galio that he played on Tuesday. 2 or 3 games in a row, he managed to get to play Galio, and he had over 400 CS in 3 consecutive games. 420 or 430 odd creep kills by the 39th or the 40th minute. It was immense farm. And it's just the power of Galio at the moment. LLeague does pick up a fairly free dragon. A little bit of poke, but nothing really coming up from Fnatic.
Yeah, Galio is great at farming. There's some other champions that are really good at it as well, like Karthus. The one thing is, your jungler kind of has to be on board, because to get those incredible creep scores, you really have to, be taking those race and generally taking the enemy's race, which Alex certainly did do. I only watched the beginning of one of those games, but I think it was 220 creeps at 18 minutes or thereabouts.
Yep, that was it. 18 minutes in, he broke the 200. 16 minutes in, broke the 200 barrier. And on the top lane, we do see a kill going down. Galio actually being caught out, so let's rewind that for just a little bit.
Yeah, it was unfortunate because XPK knew that Dragon was going to be taken, went top to try to push that tower down, but then just did not back out in time. And actually, you'll see, and I'm not on tune with you with the replay, but Lulu actually missed her Q, so, but still, it was just a lot of damage coming down from Wukong.
A full duration Cyclone in conjunction with the Wild Growth. Kirby just really tore Galio apart. Of course, Galio prioritized magic resist over armor, so all of that physical damage coming out from Kirby really does a lot. Shusho is now pushing on the top lane with Ghost. He's popped the Ignite as well. Looking at his cooldowns, there goes the Leap Strike, the Empower. One more hit should be enough. And Shusho with a very nice kill on that top lane.
Yep, I was sitting in the future there. Wukong, got his kill there, but just did not back out afterwards. A little bit of a mistake, and now Sushi is going to get that free tower.
So So Shusha, he's got his Phage completed. He's finished his Ninja Tabai as well. Sheen, he should have enough gold to finish that Sheen, which he does. So opting to go for the Trinity Force first, as opposed to picking up that Cutlass.
Yeah, and that's not too unusual on the US side, but a lot of people do prefer getting that Cutlass and then going Trinity Force. I'm not sure what the standard build is over here.
That's normally, even just picking up the Vamp Scepter early on, because Jax has no inherent sustain, and he really needs to keep that life up if he's going to be dueling, especially against the likes of Wukong, who can decoy, who can Nimbus Strike, and just a little bit more mobile.
Yeah, although he does seem to be doing just fine in lane so far, has had, of course, quite a bit of help there. Down bottom we see a little bit of aggression, but man, MF is not winning those trades quite as hard as
Teleport
I would think
comes
she
up
would.
from XPK, does get caught in Idol of Durand. Idol of Durand is going to be enough to just pick up that kill. Blood Boil on Roldo gets him to safety, but Teleport, Idol of Durand, a whole lot of ultimates there used, but they did pick up the kill, so you can't really fault them for that.
No, certainly cannot. I mean, yeah, teleport and ultimates used, but the kills are important, especially on an AD carry, because now, of course, she's not going to be able to farm. Graves is actually probably going to pull ahead of her and farm in the meanwhile here. And Fnatic it's a dead even heat in gold. Of course, as I say that, 100 gold takes one way or the other, but it essentially is dead even though LLeague got that dragon and did seem to have the early advantage. Fnatic has been keeping up with superior CSing in just about every lane except bottom, I suppose. Bottom still is 1 CS down.
Gold advantage negligible. I see the first Oracle's Elixir has been picked up as well. That is on Cyanide. He hasn't drank it just yet. But in the middle lane we see a gank coming up. XPK is now moving away. He's got that Bulwark, does take some damage, gets knocked up, and gets knocked up a second time from Cyclone. Ooh. Then comes the Paranoia. And while Polymorph, they kill the little critter. And that's just not cool. Critters can't sustain that damage.
No, certainly not. So there we saw a great combination of all those ultimates. Of course, we're saying, was that kill worth all those ultimates bottom lane? Well, they waste, just as many ultimates top lane. But I think LLeague is going to be pretty happy with that. Wukong is going to be able to farm out his lane. And it looks like maybe a little push down on middle. And it doesn't seem like anyone's going to be able to do anything about it. Now, Nautilus is incredibly strong, but, on his own, I don't know why they're necessarily running away from him, because he does not do a ton of damage. I guess they lost sight on Suche, so that is probably why they had to back up there.
Props to Arwell as well. I was watching the combination of abilities. I was waiting for when Wild Growth was going to be used. And we do see Suche, he watches Dofty moving into the Wraith camp, but he's alone. He should be able to 1v1 Nocturne at this stage and see whether he's going to do it. He does have a level advantage and an extra item. Some pings.
It looks like they're actually setting up for Lulu. Might be a triple gank on Lulu, You triple gank our AP middle, we're going to triple gank yours.
Yeah. No, it does look like they've set up. The raids are gone. There's no red buff. Some great ward coverage from Fnatic at the moment. They've got very good vision in the, around the red buff area. But what I was mentioning about the abilities, Wukong had knocked up Galio with the Cyclone. And the very second that Galio was about to move again, just after he'd landed back on the ground, I will pop that Wild Growth, then threw him up once again. So 2 knockups. He then applied the slow from the Glitter Lance. And as Galio was about to start moving again and Paranoia landed, then followed it up with the Polymorph. So the crowd control was chained extremely effectively. There was no doubling up. There was no stacking of slows or disables. And it was really, really well played from the LLeague players.
And I'm pretty sure XPK had flash up, before that gank and still has it up now, just didn't even have an opportunity to use it. Now, not necessarily was he, chain locked with stuns and fears and knockups, whatnot, but he probably just felt like he couldn't get away as well. So I'm not certain if there was an opportunity, a brief moment where he could have flashed, but he probably felt like it was not worth it. So we do see a little bit of gathering here for apparently the second dragon, which I suppose will be coming up. Elsewise, there it is.
Now they're pushing onto Arwell, forced to use the Wild Growth on herself, does knock Galio up, and a Misfortune ultimate goes across and manages to deal a lot of damage to Philox. Chushe really wants to take Lulu out. Galio's trying to find a kill, does flash forward. They only catch Nunu. So that's the first kill, but it may open up Dragon. Dragon's still not taken during the course of that fight. Without having Nunu in the battle, that huge AoE slow may be there. Now Wukong dives forward, a very good Cyclone. That knocks up 3 champions. Graves is the first one to fall from Fnatic. The depth charge falls across quite a few, knocks up 2 of the LLeague players. Kirby dives forward with that Nimbus strike, puts some damage down. And they managed to pick up 2 kills there, and LLeague are going to take Dragon as well.
Yep. So it looked a little troubling there when they lost Nunu, but of course they still had a lot of ultimates in their back pocket, whereas Fnatic had essentially none. So this is going to be the second Dragon of the game, and since they picked up 2 kills to 1, or actually 3 kills to 1 in that fight, they're now up 2.8k gold. So that's actually a decent sized lead. I mean, certainly not insurmountable, but previously there had been absolutely no lead or a negligible lead throughout this entire game. So LLeague taking a little bit of advantage here, and we do see how devastating that Wukong Nocturne combination is going to be and has been already, because of course there's essentially no way to stop them from getting to Graves. So Graves is going to be dying every single fight. I think it's going to be kind of on Jax to kind of put out all the damage that they need there, because otherwise, yeah, I just don't see how Graves is going to survive through that combination of ultimates, and I believe they'll just keep on focusing him as he is, you know, their best chance at sustained damage. Now Jax of course has picked up that Trinity Force, does a lot of damage for a top lane quote-unquote bruiser, but will it be enough?
Well, I'd like to see whether or not XPK can get off a good Idol of Durand, because that one ability can turn the game. You know, if he's able to lock somebody up, Lamia can put down the buckshot and the collateral, and then Shushay can pretty much just clean up whatever's left. That's going to be a very, very strong team fight combination, but it's very difficult to do because of the way LLeague are playing. They wait for Wukong to dive in, then they wait for Nocturne, and while that's happening, Misfortune sits all the way on the back line with bullet time. They're not grouping up as a 5-man, you know, in a central area, so it's very, very difficult to get a good idol when the team is playing to each of their champion strengths.
Yeah, certainly. And they have a decent team, a lot of CC with Janna and Nautilus especially there to set up that idol, but like you said, LLeague careful in that fight, and of course maybe XPK not the best idea only using his ultimate for the support on Nunu there. Of course, Nunu is a very important champion to have during those team fights. He's going to grant that Blood Boil, has his ultimate to protect MF, but only catching one person with the ultimate is probably a mistake.
Well, on the bottom lane, you do some pressure going down into Tsimoto. They don't know that Nocturne's there. The first kill, there's a kill up in the top lane. They do manage to take out, on the middle lane rather. In the bottom lane now, they're going to trade. Graves, Lamia goes down. Are they going to be able to catch Felox though? I didn't see the mid lane kill, so I'm going to rewind that, jump to the middle lane.
It was essentially just a 3-man gank. Yeah, no hope of getting away there, but they blew a lot of ultimates on that Lulu. Oh my goodness, and now when you pop back to the future, you're going to see some more excitement, so I won't spoil the surprise.
Well, we are in fast forward, so there goes the pressure into middle lane. Counter-attack stunt. Depth charge goes out. Depth charge gets knocked up. XPK moves forward, even popping the Idol of Durand. I'm going to quickly jump to the bottom lane. Here's now the tail end of the bottom lane fight. And we're now into fast forward mode. Let's see what we're looking for. Directed camera, don't let me down. Oh, as I say that, it lets me down. So Nautilus managing to chase, was that Lulu?
No, it was not Lulu, I believe. Oh man, who was it? It was Nunu.
Nunu.
Oh, I'm sorry. We might have had just miscommunication. I'm not sure if you said Lulu or Nunu.
Yeah, Lulu and Nunu on the same team. It's not cool.
No,
so
certainly
Fnatic
not.
They do pull 2 kills in exchange for 1, but they're still behind on gold, 1,000 gold as opposed to the 3,000. Slowly being, you know, clawing it back. Cyanide is still wearing that Oracle's Elixir, as is Nocturne, I believe. I think he's still wearing the same one, unless I'm mistaken.
I think it is the same one. The only death he had was actually not First Blood, but almost immediately after First Blood when he invaded the jungle.
Yeah.
So he's been wearing that Oracle Elixir for quite a while. Certainly, you know, paid its value already in those ward kills.
Yeah, it's true. About 10 minutes on each of the Oracle's Elixirs. We are now back up to real time. 810 is the kill score. 1,500 gold difference. There's the gold graph on the bottom side of your screen, so you can see exactly who's sitting where. Mid lane, we have Galleon 8,500 to the 7,700 of Lulu. Bottom lane, 6,700 on Graves to the 8,000 of Misfortune. Misfortune quite a bit further ahead, but that is of course compliments of the Dragons. And we do have some pressure on the bottom lane. Counterattack doesn't land. And now Shusha is the one that looks like in a little bit of trouble. Look at the damage onto Fairlocks. Knockup does happen onto Shusha, so he's going to be trying to escape. The slow's going down consistently over and over and over. Leap strikes one more time to Ashe. Bullet time just catches the end of Janna.
Oh my goodness.
But she manages to get away with the skin of her teeth. And Fnatic, super, super lucky there.
Uh-oh, but Cyanide just kind of walked into... Okay, no, they have a couple ultimates planned. It's kind of interesting because this whole game we've seen Kirby on Wukong really just farming top, and now it's going to pay off most likely. He does have 50 more farm than Jax, provided they don't give up too many kills for it. That 50 farm is likely going to pay dividends, but we see a lot of these fights. There's 5 people from Fnatic down bottom, and only 4 for LLeague, but I say that, and Kirby, of course, does make his way down there.
Now look at the pressure. Nocturne's going to be trying to push on to XPK. XPK does manage to flash over the wall, though, so he breaks the fear hold. Lands one of those air grenades onto Misfortune. Slows her down, puts a big chunk of damage on him. And I like it. We are getting towards Athene's Unholy Grail. Thank you, XPK, for making my day. I'm finally going to see this item.
Yeah, it'll be my first time as well. Of course, on Galio, it's kind of a no-brainer. He's basically one of the few champions that you'd build the Chalice of Harmony every time, regardless of the fact that it doesn't build into anything great. But now that it has something to build into, why not increase it? I actually haven't looked at the gold efficiency of the item, so I'm not certain how that turns out. But I will have to.
If you're good at math, 2,950 gold, you get plus 80 ability power, plus 36 magic resist, and 15% cooldown reduction. On top of that, you get the 1% mana per 1% missing. You also get 15 mana regen per 5, as well as there's something else I'm getting, 12% mana or total mana on kills or assists. So I think mathematically it works out really good. You know, less than 3,000 gold. Not necessarily the best when it comes to defense or offense in terms of raw stats, but the utility, the cooldown, the near endless mana, I'm really excited for this item, and hopefully for jungle. I'm hoping to see it on the likes of Skarner and Warwick and Jungle Cho'Gath, for example.
Yeah, that would certainly be interesting. The only thing that I would have to say about it as an AP champion, you certainly love, cooldown reduction, but as an AP champion, you generally want to go into every single fight with blue buff, and generally later on in the battles also have a blue potion, which will give you max CDR as is. So you're kind of putting that 15 CDR to waste at that point.
Yeah, it is true, but it does allow the potential for sharing that blue buff. For the likes of an Anivia or a Swain, if you don't have blue buff, you're effectively useless in drawn-out team fights. This isn't going to replace it, but the amount of mana regen it does give you, it's interesting. We're going to have to see how the 2,000 ELO and above players decide to use it. So it's on you, so to you and the rest of your crew.
I've told you my positions, and I don't generally play Skarner in the jungle. Although the reason I don't play Skarner in the jungle is because I feel like without blue buff, he really just falls off in its clear times and all sorts like that. Yeah. But that being said, he is a great solo queue champion. I don't know if you've had the same experience over here in EU, but in America we've had so many, essentially Skarner losses in tournaments that no one uses him anymore. He just, once he jumped on the scene, everyone's like, oh my goodness, he's overpowered. But then they realize, if a team actually knows how to counter him, it's really hard to land a good pull there, a good impale. Yeah,
no, it is true. He's more of a unique composition pick now than a strong jungler at the moment. But for everybody that's joined us, we've broken the 8K barrier. So thank you, welcome, hello. My name is Quickshot. Soter is a US caster for GG Chronicle. He's joining us for today's qualifier. And of course, we're watching Fnatic versus LLeague in today's Dreamhack qualifiers. The finalists for EU West and the finalists for Nordic and East today qualify for Sunday's tournament. And it's in Sunday's tournament where they're actually going to be able to compete for a spot at Dreamhack. So there's a lot on the line. Best of one. And Fnatic are behind at the moment. What can Fnatic do to pull themselves back into this game, Soter?
Really, they're behind, but they're only behind 3,000 gold, so the next team fight is anyone's game, in my opinion. It just depends on who gets the better ultimates. If Galio lands a great ultimate on multiple members of LLeague, then I think that team fight is theirs. LLeague being aggressive and wanting to push here, and as I'm saying that, Suche gets caught out.
He does get caught out. The Paranoia dives all the way forward. The Fear proc is going to lock him in place, and Suche cannot handle the damage from that Crushing Blow and Cyclone combination on Wukong, and this is going to cost them an interior turret now. But Galio is pushing on the top lane.
Yes, and this is reminiscent of the other game, of course, when Xpika was playing TF, but Galio not near the tower pusher that TF is, so he's going to be bottom, has that teleport to, join this battle, but he has to be, has to ensure that there's actually a ward here to jump to. Yep. Okay, he is jumping into this ward as we speak.
And they're going to be moving forward. Baron is still alive. Baron's going to be going down. There goes the Idol of Duran. Idol of Duran pops. Baron is still alive. 2 kills already for Fnatic. Make that 3. Baron Nashor is still beating people in the faces, spitting out those balls of acid. 4 kills for Fnatic in reply for 2. Now it's a Galio and Janna versus Arwul on Lulu. Arwul's trying to run away. He's popped his Ignite into Galio. I'm not sure that was the smartest of moves. The Glitter Lance damage almost blows Phelox up. And that was a 4 versus 5, hey? 4 versus 5. Jax was not in that fight.
Right, and really it was just the fact that Galio landed, essentially a perfect ultimate there. I was really confused by Cyanide and what he was doing. He kind of ran into the middle of the enemy team and actually took Baron aggro, but it did make everyone group up and allowed Galio to follow him in there relatively uncontested. So certainly we saw what happens when you get a good Galio ultimate down there. And now they're going to be able to 3-man this dragon. Yeah, they're going to be able to take it way before anyone gets anywhere close. That's the good thing about having Jax back up and having Jax die early, I suppose. It's generally not advantageous to have one of your teammates die early, but since he died before that fight, was able to get back and help out do Baron, whereas obviously Galio and Janna would never been able to do that alone.
And you have to point out as well, I'm putting a little ping on the map right now. There was a ward that was not cleared out. Nocturne had an Oracle's Elixir. He actually seen the ward, and after that initiated the Baron, Dofty actually turned back. You could see the character had right-clicked on the ward, but then thought, no, okay, I'm going to stick to Baron. We'll take Baron out before he can get here. And allowing XPK to jump onto that ward, teleport to it, and get that fantastic Idol of Duran. That's all it was. 1 teleport, 1 Idol of Duran wins them a 3v5 and gives them a free Baron. I mean, huge play for Fnatic. And now they're only 800 gold behind, or 900 gold behind.
Yeah, and for the next, 5 minutes or however long this Baron buff is going to last, they're actually way ahead in terms of stats just because of that Baron buff. Yeah, seriously, that was kind of, I have to say, a mistake to leave that ward there. I was saying, oh, Galio's bottom, has to teleport. Sometimes that teleporting plan doesn't work because all the wards that are in good positions for you to jump to have been cleared out. But that one ward that was essentially in a perfect spot for Galio, really close by to Baron, allowed him to just, take 5 steps forward and then use his ultimate, was there and available. And now Fnatic is picking up that dragon, still, about 400 gold behind, but they are going to make that up. I'm sure they'll get 1 more turret out of this. I really feel like they should try to get an inhibitor out of this Baron, and I'm sure they feel the similar.
Well, Baron, they've used a third of it so far. Now they've grouped up as 5. They're going to be pushing this bottom tower, or this bottom lane, because, of course, it is 1 tower fewer than the rest. I'm just reading chat for a little bit. Everybody, the reason that Logic's, is it Phelox is playing for Fnatic, and he is their official 6th man. Melisande is busy with university or school, something in real life. So, unfortunately, he's unable to play Dreamhack or, for the LAN, etc. So, Phelox has stepped up. He's going to be playing the support role. And if Fnatic qualify, he'll actually be going with them to the LAN as well. There is also a plus 18 gold stuck on my screen. I have no idea why. There was creep gold that jumped up a little while ago, and it just hasn't dropped off. So that'll be gone the next time the game loads up for our next round. For the time being, though, everyone's always getting plus 18 gold.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. I fortunately do not have that plus 18 gold. That would be annoying. Now, certainly Fnatic wants to do something with this Baron buff. If they get another turret, it is essentially, will pull them ahead in gold. They're only 300 gold down now. But I always feel like Baron buff is stronger than towers. Uh-oh.
Huge pressure coming out from Kirby. He dives forward with the Cyclone. Only manages to knock up XPK. Doesn't manage to do anything. The fear from Lamia throws him right back into the team. 1 more Nimbus strike from Wukong is going to be enough to pick up the kill there. A pretty wasted absolute 0 from Roldo. It slows people down, but no damage gets applied. But they do lose Lamia, so he's out for 40 seconds. It means that they're not going to be able to push with the remaining time on this Baron buff. And it may allow LLeague to push down a turret of their own, knowing that Lamia is not there in the fight.
And that was a good play by LLeague. far too often I see people be like, oh, they have Baron buff, we can't engage no matter what. No, that's true for the most part. You don't want to engage on a team with Baron buff, but if you see someone completely split off like Sushi was there, you can 5v4 someone, especially when you have, you know, all those ultimates that catch people out in place. And once again, we see that Wukong into a Nocturne ultimate that really are just devastating, especially to Lamia. Well, yeah, mainly only to Lamia, who keeps on falling to that combination without really any hope of being saved. Now, it's kind of interesting because Janna still does have exhaust, used her ultimate to try to save him there, but generally Janna is the best champion at essentially saving your AD carry from those sort of, you know, cheeky ganks, or those ganks where, you know, people are jumping in and there's essentially you have to knock them away and up and back and slow them and all sorts of things like that. But even with her, you know, kit full of CC, not able to save Lamia in that case, or, you know, throughout the entire game.
Yep, it is true, it is true. I don't know how they're going to protect this Graves. Janna can't do it, Exhaust can't do it. Cyanide may have to sit in the back line. You know, Nautilus, he's got that on-hit snare. He's got the dredge line to pull something. He's got the slow from Riptide. But then you consider Paranoia throws, you know, Nocturne straight onto Graves. That's not going to push him away. If Wukong saves his Nimbus Strike, even if he gets pushed away, he's just going to Nimbus Strike right back into it. Or even use that decoy, because it gives you that small hop, you know, that little boost. In terms of item build, Jax has now completed his Hextech Gunblade, Trinity Force, and the Ninja Tabite. Wukong, on the other hand, oh, look at that, a brilliant engagement now, knocking up 4 members of Fnatic. Paranoia comes up, now he's dived all the way forward, and Idol of Duran has captured several members of LLeague. A very, very big Absolute Zero from Nunu puts a lot of damage down, so it's a 1-for-2 trade so far. Fnatic do have the additional kill, but they're going to have to see whether or not they can convert this. 1-for-3 so far. And Idol of Duran caught a lot of people out, but Misfortune, the bullet time not dealing as much damage as it needs to be able to confirm these kills or to secure the kills. A 1-for-4 trade, and Idol of Durand once again turning it around. XPK really playing well on Galio.
And really chasing down this Lulu as well. Oh my goodness, Azonia's dodged the Q, but man, is going to die anyway. Nice little move there to dodge that Q with Zonius, but not enough. And man, we see once again that essentially one member, well, Sushi, apparently that's the key. Just let Sushi die, because every time he dies in a team fight, you know, Fnatic comes back man down, and that could actually be, I was thinking that could be game, but Nocturne actually will be up in 2 seconds. Nunu and Nocturne will be able to stab off this attack. That team fight was actually really delayed insofar as who picked up kills when. But we do see, yeah, that Idol of Duran really just winning those team fights for Fnatic.
And it took too long to kill Shushay. You know, LLeague, they focused him, they caught him out of position, dealt a lot of damage to him, but they blew a lot of abilities to try kill him. And he was still alive. You know, after that initial burst and 1 or 2 more auto attacks, he was still sitting on 300, 400 hit points, was in the middle of 5 LLeague players, and you could see that indecision. You could see LLeague going, well, you know, we need to get onto Graves, we need to push the rest of Fnatic, but Jax is still behind us, so we need to turn to Jax and, you know, kill him. And that little delay, that little bit of was all that XPK needed to get in and get a good Idol of Durand ultimate.
Right. And, you know, this game has been really interesting in the sense that Lamia has been so harassed the entire time, but it's now 6-4, whereas MF has essentially been, you know, free attacking the entire game. Now, they haven't been asking very much of MF. MF has a lot of times just been using bullet time from way out of range, but that might be a mistake, because bullet time just doesn't do as much damage that she would be doing just auto-attacking the enemy team. So she might want to have to get up there, put herself in a little bit more danger, but as we've seen these fights, she's been very safe for the beginning of the fights. It's just as the, you know, battles go on, and they're so outnumbered, she's one of the later people to fall, but of course, when it's a 4 versus 2, she can't do that much. Did try to pick up some kills at the end there, was unable to. So we're going to have to see it. I mean, essentially, these fights could still go either way. It all depends on that Idol of Durand landing or not landing, as it could be.
Yeah, it is true. It is so true. Those bullet time, it's got very good range, and if you can hold a team in place for the duration of it, and couple it with the likes of an Idol of Durand or a full channeled Absolute Zero, then it's effective. But they just simply don't have that team AoE that's required to put a good combination together. So we do see now LLeague, they're falling all the way to the top lane, moving very aggressively to that top lane actually. I think they were anticipating a Fnatic push, but Fnatic just taking the dragon. And even at the 40-minute mark, there's only 4,000 gold difference. I mean, the teams are still really, really even, and it's just coming down to whoever initiates and controls the fights better.
Right, and of course we are going to have the Baron in play here. It is going to be, going to be a challenge. And I think one thing here that we've seen, well, one, Galu has almost 400 farm, and Lulu is only 228. Now, they do see this Baron starting. Yeah, Janna has not been in there to clear that ward, so Fnatic started it, is in kind of an unusual spot, but man, XPK, really good hiding spot back there in the brush.
Has flash available as well, so he's going to be able to flash in. It just depends on if LLeague are going to group up together. Dofty's now caught out in the middle of everybody, forced to flash over the wall to get away, comes right back in with Paranoia. Now Galio gets turned to a little critter in the background. The first one to fall is Nunu. Now a bullet time channel. That was the first good bullet time coming out from Misfortune. It's not enough to turn the tide of the fight, though, because the XPK is still alive, still being focused for some reason, and is going to be able to get away. He manages to pick up a kill onto Nocturne. Fnatic with the team ace. LLeague, no focus. No focus, no combined. Look at the hit points. 3 champions at near death. And the surrender vote comes out. Fnatic, wow, what a play.
That was impressive. And one thing is, I'm sure on both sides of the pond, people kind of don't like Graves because they feel like he falls off as the game goes on. And certainly that could be an argument made against him because of his lack of range. But in that fight, I'm not sure if we're going to go back through that or whatnot, but I'm pretty sure what happened was his smokescreen essentially made MF back off for about a good couple of seconds and not auto-attack anyone because she was afraid of walking towards the fight. And then later on, Jax did chase her, but Jax wasn't actually chasing her, until 3 seconds later, where she had been just running around not auto-attacking anyone for quite a while. So a lot of ability to just kind of deny MF from attacking, just being really afraid of that Idol of Durand, really afraid of Jax. But that being said, a little bit more focus, and that fight could have gone completely the other way.
Yep, I liked it. I loved the play from XPK as well, hiding in that background, joining the party late once LLeague had committed and jumped forward. I just want to have a quick look at the damage graphs. Look at the damage that was put down from XPK. Look at how much he's actually been able to apply. It is huge numbers. I'm having a very quick look at my friends list because C-Play